Space Coconut.
Okay, today I'm trying out a different format for this discussion video. Sometimes I want to share the discussion to the forums, but I have to leave a note stating that the discussion is only at the start of the video. As an experiment, this discussion will be out at the regular time, obviously, and won't include additional gameplay at the end. The gameplay in the background of this video will be released later in the day, and we'll see how the views compare between this video and that gameplay video. I actually expect the gameplay video to tank compared to this discussion video. Now, before I get started, I wanted to thank those of you who are still picking up shirts from the store. I really appreciate that you guys enjoy the channel that much, and the designs enough to pick them up. I really can't thank you enough. Thank you. I also want to invite you to check out my Subscribe Star page. It's devoid of content right now except for one sound clip that was requested by a viewer, but with your suggestions I'll be able to create more content that more of you might enjoy. It also might be a temporary solution until I create my own web page so I don't have to pay somebody else to take payments and stuff, and I'll have more control over the content that way also. Swing by, check it out, and leave some suggestions for things you would be interested in seeing through a membership system, and I'll see what I can do. For right now though, it's essentially a tip jar for those who don't want a t-shirt but still want to support what I'm doing and what I'm trying to build in order to create better and more in-depth content. So, with all the marketing out of the way, let's talk about the Scourge. That is tunneling. As usual, this discussion is solely based on my experience as a killer main. This is purely my own opinion and perspective on this topic, and as such, I'm only speaking for myself. In the comments of my videos and other sources, there have been people saying that I've tunneled a survivor or that they've been a victim of tunneling. While I can understand how unfun it can be to be focused on and removed from a game quickly, unlike camping, tunneling isn't exactly the killer's fault. Before I get into that crazy thought, let's talk about the two types of tunneling first. Yeah, two. The first and least effective type of tunneling is the chase tunnel. This is the chase that goes on for 5 gens. You're chasing the same survivor and you refuse to go and look for somebody else. And this is the chase that we, as stupid killers, sometimes commit to in order to get that one annoying survivor out of the game. We no longer care about Pips or the other 3 survivors as long as we can get that one that thinks they're untouchable. Slimy jerk. By all means, do whatever you want, but be advised that it is more likely that all 4 will escape thanks to borrowed time, adrenaline, decisive strike, the hatch mechanics, unhook immunity frames, auto-aim, exhaustion recovery while hooked, and body blocking by the other survivors. This tunnel will never give you very many blood points, and will most likely guarantee a D-pip. If you want to be as toxic as possible while D-ranking, tunneling might be the way to go. If D-ranking isn't your goal, avoid giving in to this type of chase based on emotion, especially if you get a survivor who obviously wants you to chase them. You'll probably lose if you do. The second and most effective type of tunnel that you should be using if you want to tunnel is the focus tunnel. Oftentimes, you as a killer are faced with a decision, either from a distance or right next to a survivor who has just been unhooked. Do I hunt the injured and weak survivor for an easy down, who might be on their second or last hook, or do I hit and chase a presumably healthy survivor with no hooks? Depending on the game state, this decision will win or lose the game for you. 5 to 3 gens left mean that you can probably still win if you go after the healthy survivor, letting the injured survivor continue on to play and enjoy the match. 3 to 0 gens left means you should probably focus on the weaker survivors in order to get them out of the match for a better chance at more sacrifices before the match ends. To help make this decision, ask yourself, how fast are generators getting finished? If generators are being focused down quickly and they're going off like popcorn, you should probably focus on the first survivor you hook, since you have even less time to play the match. If gens are going pretty slowly, or haven't popped in a while, it might be okay to go for the more difficult target. At any point in the match, choosing to go after the weaker survivor is always the most time-efficient choice. When I say a weaker survivor, this is either an injured survivor, or a survivor who might not be as skilled as the others in the team. Unfortunately for killers, survivors have a tendency to take this personally and rage about being tunneled if you decided to go for time efficiency. There's not much you can do about their feelings, regardless of what you try to explain as your reasoning for choosing the weaker targets, so just let it go. No matter what your reason, they will complain. They will call for bans against tunneling, they will make threads about it, and they will attack anyone who attempts to explain the reasons to tunnel through a video. This will never change. So tunnel if you want. Okay, so if the killer is choosing the target, how is it not their fault for tunneling a survivor? For this, we can blame the flow of the match and the win conditions. The time crunch to win a match lies squarely on the killer's shoulders. The killer's time to win is dictated by the speed at which survivors are fixing gens. The faster they finish gens, the less time the killer has to chase and hook them. In order to win, which isn't clearly defined by the game mechanics, the killer must make the absolute best out of the time they have available before survivors finish the generators and get out. Evidence that this is true can be found in any Dead by Daylight survivor stream. You'll find the streamer happily reading chat and responding while hitting skill checks with no problem, and sometimes even listening to music during the match. A chase might make them focus for a bit, but they only need to avoid the killer while the other survivors work on generators. If they get downed, they can just sit on the hook while gens get finished, or another survivor makes their way to the hook. A killer has no such time to stand still or take it easy if they want to do well in the match. This is why time-efficient decision-making is one of the more important skills a killer player needs to develop to do well. If the time crunch affected the survivors instead, perhaps the killer wouldn't need to focus on the weaker survivors to do well in the match. They could take their time, enjoy the match while the survivors, in a manic frenzy, tried to do the gens and escape before it was too late. The killer could hunt the stronger survivors, or let a recently unhooked survivor go and play the match. The killer would be under no pressure to focus and get survivors out of the match. There would still be those players who choose to tunnel, but then that's just a player being a jerk, and there's not much you can do about that. In the end, this is just another one of my thoughts, and the devs are going to do whatever they want, survivors are going to say whatever they want, and killers are going to do whatever they want. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you later.